Oh, welcome in to the latest episode of that SEC podcast. I'm your host, Michael Bratton. I go by SEC Mike on Twitter. And we're back again for another SEC Media Days 2.0 coverage. Just so much that we missed down there in Atlanta during the media days, interviewing people left and right, trying to catch the Pirate when he's on the main stage. Just peeling back the curtain a little bit of covering an event like SEC Media Days, particularly when there's four teams coming to the event on a single day like we had at day 2 and day 3. I mean, it's a madhouse. There's the main room, there's side rooms, there's the radio row where we were located. There's all kinds of scrums left and right. It really is impossible to cover everything that happens down there in Media Days. And hell, we even got interviews we have not yet played. We're going to play them here on this show. So Cousin Shane not with us on this show, but he is featured on these interviews. So highlights from day 2 SEC Media Days, what we missed the first go around. We got Alabama, South Carolina, Vanderbilt. There's some Vanderbilt gold here, believe it or not. And we'll end things off with Mississippi State and the Pirate and everything. We pretty much got the Pirate covered. But these other teams, a lot of great stuff. So let's get right into the action here with the Alabama Crimson Tide. And, man, I mean, it's this... We may have missed some things, but we didn't miss the confidence coming from the Crimson Tide here during their appearance at SEC Media Days. And I thought, that was capped by old Nick Saban. I mean, he's firing off jokes down here. He was asked, what's the one thing you'd want people to know about you that they may not know? Gives a shout out to Miss Terry and his ability to clean his house down here in Tuscaloosa. I thought that was great. And expectations for Bryce Young. And I think even Coach Saban was a little bit thrown off guard here. He's asked about old Gus Malzahn, former foe there that beat him more than any other coach in recent SEC history. So let's kick it over to the highlights from Nick Saban, what we missed the first go around there at SEC Media Days.
Coach, if somebody did not know anything at all about Nick Saban, what would be the most important thing you would want them to know?
How well I clean house. I've been cleaning house, on vacation. I get a list every day. I try to play golf in the morning. Miss Terry gives me a list when I get back and run the sweeper, take out the garbage, pledge the refrigerator. Nobody knows how well I do all those things.
On the left, Coach, back row.
Auburn. You have Bryce Young coming back after winning the Heisman Trophy last year, but of course falling short in the national championship game. What do you expect to see different from Bryce Young from last year to this year on the field?
I don't really expect anything in terms of what I want to see differently. I want Bryce to maintain the right mindset in terms of how he prepares, how he practices, how he impacts the players around him, because that will have a significant impact on how well he can play, because, quarterback is a difficult position to play if the players around you don't play well, whether it's the receivers, the offensive line, the ability to run the ball, create balance. I just want Bryce to just stay in the right mindset of what he needs to do to be the best player that he can be, and to be forward thinking in terms of the things that he needs to do to make the progress to create value for himself. Because I'm sure that, Bryce would love to be a quarterback in the National Football League, and I think, how he does this year will, have a significant impact on, that part of how he develops his career. And we certainly want to do everything that we can to enhance that and help him, develop the skill set and the people around him to be able to have the kind of production that will enhance his opportunities in the future.
The SEC West has amassed some of the best coaches in the country. Can you talk about what kinds of things you're doing as a coach to stay ahead of the curve, having to coach against so many good coaches week in and week out? And given some of the marquee moments the Iron Bowl has produced over the years. Do you miss Gus Malzahn?
Look, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Gus. I thought Gus did a fantastic job, beat us, more than I'd like to remember, and did it because he was a great coach, a great play caller, has made a significant impact on the game of college football in terms of some of the things that he's implemented through the years. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for Gus. Yeah, the Iron Bowl was crazy. It was a crazy game last year. Bryce did a great job in the last drive to be able to tie the game. And I think the most important thing was the 2 sacks that he didn't take and got rid of the ball so he didn't get sacked because we didn't have any timeouts. And people sometimes don't realize that. They look at the completions, whether it's 4th down, 3rd down, touchdown pass, whatever. I think it's one of the greatest games in college football and one of the most difficult places to play when we go there and play it. So I have a lot of respect for the program and the people in it, and know that we really have to continue to hire good coaches, have great energy and enthusiasm in what we do to make changes that is going to help us, sort of not really stay ahead of the curve, but just be able to understand things that people are doing in the game, so that we put our players in the best position to be able to have a chance to be successful when they go out on the field and compete against it.
But the real stars of the show down here in Media Days, these guys came with a message. They've been coached, no doubt, by Saban and his crew. But Will Anderson, the best defensive player in the country, many have him as the best player in the country, and Bryce Young, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, would not have won the SEC championship without Bryce, would not have made it to the college football national championship game without their outstanding quarterback. What does that mean? All his accolades he got last year means nothing to him. I love this message from Bryce Young. And then Will Anderson. They get asked repeatedly about Texas A&M. They're all ducking, dodging, diving, ducking the A&M question. At the end of this thing, Will Anderson cracks a little bit and lets it be known that, hell, the Aggies are on the mind of everybody down there in Tuscaloosa. So let's kick it over to Bryce Young and Will Anderson.
As the Heisman Trophy winner, best college football player in America, how do you get better on the field as far as, again, I know you've been to the Manning camp. I don't know if you have a quarterback coach, but again, to get better.
Yeah, winning the Heisman is obviously a huge honor. It means a lot. But also I understand that doesn't entitle me to anything. Really, it's an award that celebrates one season that I had in the past, which is, again, an honor, but it doesn't mean anything towards me moving forward. It doesn't have any, it doesn't entitle me to anything. So because of that, I don't feel like I'm where I need to be. I don't feel like I'm a finished product by any means. There's a lot of stuff that I want to keep getting better at. So I don't think it prohibits me at all. The way I look at it, again, it's an award that celebrates the past, which is an honor, but it doesn't entitle me anything to the future. So I don't feel like I'm complete. I don't feel like there's definitely stuff for me to work on as an individual, stuff for us as a team to get better at. So I'm working day in and day out to try to improve myself.
Entering last year, you had lost so much off the previous team, and yet making it to the national championship game could almost be viewed as overachieving. But your coach, I think, used the word, there's humiliation when you lose and stuff like that. So what's the feeling after last season? A couple things go your way, you're national champs.
Exactly what he said. The biggest goal of our team always is to win a national championship, and we didn't meet that goal last year, so that season was not the successful season that we wanted because, all the blood, sweat, and tears we put in and, all the hard work, all the long meetings is to get to a national championship and win it, and we got there, but we didn't, finish the way we wanted it to finish.
Eli Ricks was one of the bigger transfer portal moves of the offseason. What can you say about what you've seen from him so far as a teammate?
He's tall, lanky, he's long, he can move really well, he can knock down balls, he can go up there and jump with people who try to jump with him. And it's been exciting to watch him practice these couple of practices that we had. He's a really good player, and he's a better teammate and a good person.
Jordan mentioned Jahmyr Gibbs and his pass-catching abilities and how it's helping the linebackers.
Yes.
How is it helping you guys, and what stands out about him to you?
He's like a little wide receiver sometimes. You know, we have to take those wheel routes on him and stuff like that. You better get on your horse because he got wheels and he can run. So he's dangerous out the backfield, but I love it. It's fun to watch.
Birmingham, I know this football team's tight brotherhood. When things happen like what happened back in May when Coach Fisher kind of, rails on Nick Saban with that press conference, how does the team react to that?
We know it. We don't have to speak on it too much. We see what's going on, and, when the pass get on and the game get going, we'll address it then.
I mean, how great was that? Again, they came in with a message, but it slipped there a little bit. Will Anderson let it be known, and we're going to let our talking be on the field this fall. And I know everybody's got Alabama running through Texas A&M in that matchup. Cannot wait to see it because I think it's going to be another fourth quarter game going to come down to the wire. Cannot wait to see Texas A&M travel to Alabama. Now, the stars of the event, in many eyes, the South Carolina Gamecocks and Shane Beamer, everything they got going for them heading into year 2 of the Beamer era. All these super seniors, I believe that the number I keep quoting is 15 super seniors. That's what Arkansas had. That's what Ole Miss had. And that led to them having terrific seasons last fall. South Carolina could very well be that team this year with Spencer Rattler and a number of other transfers coming into the program and some senior leadership returning in Columbia. Let's kick it over to Shane Beamer. Lessons learned from year 1 there in Columbia as obviously his first time as a head coach. Hey, why didn't you bring Spencer Rattler? Of course, the big question down there. He's coming next year, according to Bieber, with a smile on the seniors coming back and just the love that's in that building. Beamer does not shy away from it. In fact, he embraces it down there in Columbia.
Hey, Shane, what do you know now about being a head coach that you didn't know 1 year ago when you came to SEC Media Days?
I felt like I learned a lot, Rick, before SEC Media Days, to be honest with you. Just from January until July last year, realizing the impact that you have on everyone in the program, that all eyes are on you every single day when you walk in that building, that what I say in press conferences like this or back in Columbia is going to resonate across the state and the region with the fan base. Just realizing that even growing up the son of a football coach like I did, you don't realize that maybe to the degree that it is. But then also all the things that come across your desk every single day that have nothing to do with football that you deal with as a head coach, which I love that part of it, don't get me wrong. And then throughout the season, certainly you learn. There's mistakes that I made during games. I mean, I can think the things from last year that I'm still kicking myself in the butt for in-game decisions and stuff like that you'd like to have back. But that's coaching, and you try and learn and be better going forward because of it. And then with the carry on, his story and what he's done as a player is fantastic. So that was an easy choice to pick those guys. There's some other ones that would have been very, very deserving as well that, people like some of y'all thought I should have brought Spencer Rattler. We'll bring Spencer next year, all right, when he's a senior. So.
In the middle of coach, second row.
Why y'all laugh?
You have these guys coming back, so many seniors that made the decision. Gwyn told us the offensive line got together and kind of made that decision. What does that mean to you to know so many guys were invested in what you were doing last year? And what can you tell us about what it's really like that these guys would want to come back and be a part of this?
Great question, point. I appreciate that. It was very gratifying and humbling when they told me that. I'll be honest with you, like going into the bowl game, I wasn't sure about Zach. He may have told you otherwise. I think he was probably leaning maybe towards going out. But to the month of December's kind of a crazy time. You're getting ready for a bowl game. You're trying to sign a high school recruiting class. You're dealing with the transfer portal, and you're trying to figure out who on your own roster is opting out of bowl games, who's playing in the bowl game, who is leaving early for the NFL. So there was a lot going on. And I remember meeting with those guys like Javon and like Zach and some other ones that I knew had decisions to make. And it was a pretty cool moment when Javon Gwyn and the offensive line told me that they were coming back because they felt like they didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish and that they could be not only better players, but that they wanted to win more than 7 games, but they also told me that they felt like they didn't do their job as leaders on the team last year. So that was pretty cool to hear. And then I remember we had the great bowl win over North Carolina, and Zach and his mom, I think, were going to lunch the next day. And I remember driving in the car home from the facility, and I think I got caught by train. You guys from Columbia will know that. And I was on the phone with him, and he was getting ready to go to lunch, and it's kind of like, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that he's going to make the decision that's best for him, but hopefully he comes back. And when he decided to, that was a great moment as well. So it's a testament to what we're doing in the program, that our players saw last season what we're about, that it's not just talk, it's actions as well, and that they want to continue to be a part of it, and they're enjoying it. And I told the ladies downstairs and guys, like, I want this program to be a place. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy being a football player here. It's hard work, it's demanding, you're held accountable, but I don't ever want our players to dread walking into our facility each day, and they don't. They look forward to coming in there each day, and that's because of the people that we have in that facility.
You seem to embrace it. The video before you guys came down here was cool, blowing up Twitter. You and Lane Kiffin leading the way in the SEC as far as coaches are concerned. How do you embrace and how do you deal with, that side of things and versus, demanding them on the practice field and doing game days?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, great point. You've played the game for a long time and know. For me, it's just be me. I think sometimes guys become a head coach, and there's a certain way you think you're supposed to act because you're a head coach in the SEC. And I was never going to try and be somebody I'm not. And I meant what I said. Like, it's not easy being a football player in our program. And our players would tell you, like, we work really, really hard, and they are held accountable, and we are very demanding. But we're not disrespectful. We're coaching them hard on the football field, but we're not disrespectful to them. They know that we genuinely care about them. We use the word love in our program a lot. Sometimes that may make people uncomfortable. Not with us. Like, we use the word love in our program a lot and have no problem telling each other that we love each other. And that helps us grow together as a team. And the more that we can showcase our program, there's some great things going on in our program. There's some great people in our program. And being able to highlight them on social media like we've been able to do, I want to, for sure. And there's a lot of negative talk about name, image, and likeness, and certainly there's things that need to change and be better about it. But there's a lot of guys on our team, the 3 guys that are here today that are using name, image, and likeness for the way that the law was intended. We got guys on our team that back in December took money that they had been able to bring in from name, image, and likeness and took underprivileged youth in Columbia on a shopping spree at Christmas so they could have Christmas gifts. Like, you don't hear about those stories as much as you hear some of the other stuff. So does it need to be better? Are there things that need to be changed? Absolutely. I'm not saying that. No one loves the way it is right now, but there's also a lot of stories of the good that's coming out of it as well. And then, to answer your question, for me, it's just be me, and I know how blessed I am to be in this chair, and I was coaching at Mississippi State back in 2005, and my wife was working in media relations at Mississippi State, and the SEC media days were in Hoover, and she was there all week working. So I think we were engaged at the time, I think, but I drove, or maybe she was my girlfriend, I can't remember, but I drove to Hoover and took her to dinner one night. I remember dropping her back off at the hotel thinking about, man, like, how cool it'd be one day for me to be able to be in that hotel as a head football coach in the SEC. And here I am. So I'm sure it's going to enjoy it. And it's a high-pressure job. It's demanding. I get it. You're judged on what you do 12 Saturdays a year. And if you don't win football games, you get fired. But I'm going to have a hell of a time, as long as I'm here at South Carolina. And I'm having a blast right now doing it.
So it's easy to see why the players love this guy down there at South Carolina, why so many have returned for another year, how easy it is to recruit transfers to come in to play for South Carolina, turn over that roster in very short order. One player that, he's had opportunities. We all know the story. Javon Gwyn, come in as a quarterback, had to switch to receiver, back to quarterback in the bowl game. He's played all over the field for the Gamecocks, and Beamer's been very public. But the fact that Joyner's had opportunities to transfer elsewhere, which it's illegal to reach out to him, but it hasn't stopped people from doing it. We know tampering is going on. They don't hit on the tampering here, but Javon Gwyn, I thought, he did an outstanding job here representing South Carolina and talking about the love this team has for their head coach, how hard they're willing to play for him. He pumps up Spencer Rattler and the leadership their new quarterback is bringing. I know that's a question mark outside of that South Carolina, but people wonder how big of a leader Spencer Rattler really is. According to Joyner, he is. And, praise here for these new transfers. You don't know these names now. You should. I know the Gamecocks know them. But Juice Wells, the transfer from James Madison, and Corey Rucker from Arkansas State, these are two transfers, maybe coming from a lower level, but many teams across the SEC, across the country, wanted Wells and Rucker on their roster. Now they're in South Carolina, adding to the weapons this offense is going to have this fall.
Going back to last year, how big was that for you guys to, get to a bowl game, win it, and how have expectations changed, or how are they heading into year 2 with Shane Beamer?
Yeah, expectations have not changed. I think it's our goal for us to be the most consistent team in the SEC right now. That's our goal. Last year was a great thing to capitalize off of because we were projected to win 2 games. To go on and win 7, in year 1 under Coach Beamer, I think that says a lot. It's scary to think about what we can do in year 2. We're excited.
Shane Beamer's ability to connect with his players and form meaningful relationships that trickle over into what you guys do on the field.
Yeah, the first thing I think of is he's a player's first coach. A coach that loves us. We love our head coach to death. The more you love him, the harder you play for him. We're very grateful to have him as our head coach, and we're looking forward to year 2.
What can you tell us about how Spencer Rattler is fitting in on the field and off at South Carolina?
Yeah, a very great guy. Spencer Locker is next to mine, so we share a lot of great stories. I don't think people give him enough credit for the kind of guy he is off the field. Really great guy, great leader. Energy is very contagious, a guy that you want to be around, but I think everybody in the country knows that he can spin the ball pretty well, and he'll be a great attribute to our team. We're very excited to play with him.
Your second row.
Hey, to carry on, again, like we said, you've been here for quite a long time. Who are some of the new guys that you've seen stepping up on the offensive and defensive end?
Yeah, the first person I can think of is Juice Wells and Corey Rucker. 2 guys that are going to help the receiver room tremendously. Two great, Corey's a younger guy, Juice is a year younger than me, but 2 guys that has a lot of great attributes that's going to help us at the wide receiver, having a lot of depth. I'm very excited to play with those guys, to, play next to them and throw them the ball too. So.
And then one interview we've yet to feature here, Javon Gwyn, South Carolina captain. 2 years in a row now he's a captain for the Gamecocks. He stopped by our booth at Radio Row, so Cousin Shane and I, we had no heads up on this interview. They basically showed up and said, hey, you want to interview Javon Gwyn? We said, yes, sir. Sit on down. So no preparation went into this. Probably could have been a little bit better if we were a little bit more prepared. I know Shane and I were kind of sweating when we were asking this, but I think it turned out pretty well. Hit on a number of things here and the buzz they got going in Columbia. So let's kick it over to our interview with South Carolina's Javon Gwyn.
Okay, good.
Thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Appreciate y'all.
Yes, so Javon Gwyn, South Carolina. A lot of expectations there with Columbia, with the fan base. I mean, hell, anytime we put out a tweet, these fans they're not saying you guys are going to be better. They're saying we're going to win the East, we're going to Atlanta. What's it like being part of a program with
They're naming babies after you
right
now.
You know what I mean? Like it's got to be a great time to be a Gamecock right now.
Oh, yeah, most definitely, especially coming off the win that we came for our first year with the new coaching staff. Coming off that season and then knowing that as a group, like interior, like knowing that we can do better than we did last year as a team.
Right. Well, I want to ask the locker room. I mean, I know you've probably been asked 15 times about this video, but it just seems like every time a player video comes out, everybody's just having fun. And I think that gets lost a little bit in college football. Tell me a little bit behind the scenes, how the players are just, coming together as a family.
I'll say that helps out a lot for us to come as a family because, like, the new coaching staff, they allow us to we're playing a kids sport, a kids game. We've been playing it since we were little.
Right.
So they didn't take that away from us. So, like, we're able to have fun. Yeah. We're able to sit there and, like, be kids and still be serious at the same time. So, like, when it's football, it's football.
Right.
At the same time, like, we do stuff together. We have fun, little creative stuff like that, like, that we do that are –
Were you in the video?
Which one? The one from today?
The hot video, yeah.
Yeah. I'm the one that gave him the sunglasses.
Were they yours?
Yeah.
My daughter has a pair of those.
No, those weren't mine. Mine were in my pocket. Yeah.
Hey,
but yeah.
I hate to ask you this question. I don't want you to storm off or anything, but the streak against Clemson. I mean, how often do you hear that, and how much does that motivate you in the offseason to go out there and beat them?
We hear it all the time, like just go inside the store, like beat Clemson. They don't care about no other games but that last game, like beat Clemson. But it's just one of them things, like we haven't beat them since I've been there, so it's just one of the things, like I'm going out, this is my last year. A lot of us seniors, this is our last year, so like that's the, like, you know, like we're South Carolina versus Clemson.
Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's Super Bowl, like, so like that's one of the things, like we want to win. We need to win.
How easy was it to embrace Spencer and everything? Because, I mean, I've watched every game he played at Oklahoma. He seems like a massive, massive talent and raises the ceiling of the entire football team.
Now, it was smooth him coming in. Like, it was real smooth. Like, he was good. He's good people on the field, good people off the field, inside the huddle. Everything, he's been meshing well with us, so –
Did any of the players get in the mayo bath when Coach Beamer got mayoed there in the bowl game?
Nah, we let him have all that.
Oh, man. No, I'm just, like I said, the hype train is everybody. That's all we hear all day long, especially today. I mean, even Nick Saban opened this, and we're going to be talking more about South Carolina at the end of this day just because of the hype that's around you guys. So I think the hard work's paying off, and I think your guys are up for a big year. Now, big year, one thing about South Carolina I'm looking at is your schedule. It ramps up real quick, you know. So
I got you.
That Arkansas game, that's the one we talk about the most. You know, how big is that game going to be to you guys?
You're skipping Georgia State, man.
No,
they know.
I'm about to say, we're on week one right now.
They almost beat Auburn. I mean, how much are those coaches putting that in your head at Georgia State? I mean, they can compete with SEC teams.
Yeah, they can compete with us. Like, any team we play, like, anytime you're going up against a team, like, you got to treat them. It don't matter if they're little D1, big D1, SEC, ACC, like, you got to treat them all the same because at the end of the day, they're going to come play us hard, so we got to do the same.
You got me. See, he got the Beamer in him.
How about the pregame with the 2001 Rarin? I mean, everybody that rates these, best traditions in college football, Willie B, that those fans going crazy. I mean, how intense is that coming out of the gate with those fans behind you?
It's real nice, especially I believe like it's going to hit more this year.
Yeah.
Because it's my last year coming through Willie B. So, but it's gonna be it's real special though. And then we got some new lights and stuff, the system going on and stuff like that. So like they, I feel like it's gonna be real special for our last year.
I grew up a Tennessee fan. I'm gonna tell you right now, losing in that stadium with Sandstorm constantly playing. I never want to hear that song again, But I've never. That stadium doesn't get enough credit for crowd noise,
Yeah.
Tell me about the fans. What is the part that I guess drew you to this campus? Was it fans? Was it something you grew up always wanting to play for South Carolina?
It's just one of the things. Like when I came to one of their games when I was getting recruited, like just seeing the fans and how much love they have for South Carolina, period, like Columbia, how much pride they take in this team and being a Gamecock and everything. So just going to the game, seeing the atmosphere, seeing everybody go crazy.
Love it.
Last thing I got for you, you got to be the best of the best to be in the SEC. But even you're in an even more elite club coming to SEC Media Days. What does it mean for you to represent South Carolina your last year as a Gamecock?
I was excited. Like when Beamer came to me, he told me like he wanted me to come. I felt good about it. Like just knowing like he picked me, Zach, and DeCarrion to come and speak for the team, for what the team's about, speak on their behalf and everything. So it felt good.
My final question. I'm in Columbia. I'm hungry. I don't know if you know. I've got a little disorder. I'm looking for somewhere to eat. Where should I go? I want to go something that's not a chain, nothing like that. Something that's like into that area.
Trying to think. We go to Thirsty Fellows sometimes.
Okay.
Or you can go to I'm trying to think now. Like you got me on the spot.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What about? I always hear about Village something pizza.
Oh, Village Idiot. Yeah, Village Idiot is good. Yeah.
See, I already know. I'm a big guy too.
That's good. Yeah, you can go there, get you some pizza and stuff. Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Hey, best of luck this season, man.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, sir.
Appreciate y'all.
Next team on the docket, Vanderbilt Commodores, Clark Lee. They've got a huge mountain to climb there in Nashville. We all know it, but hey, they're showing results on the recruiting trail. They've already determined their starting quarterback for the season. They've got some momentum heading into the opener here against Hawaii. They have got to start better than they did last year. Of course, losing to ETSU in the opener, that was disgraceful. Now they have to go on the road. They're going to go out there early. They're going to go out nearly 2 weeks in advance of that football game. And I think this is smart of Coach Lee. He's going to use this, I don't want to say as like a bowl trip, but as a bonding trip to get this team in the right state of mind heading into the season opener, nationally televised. This is going to be a big deal for Vanderbilt. Cannot afford to lose this game. Let's kick it over to Clark Lee talking about just the importance of this season opener for his program at Hawaii.
You guys play week 0. How urgent is it to be ready to go right away? And then also, what would a successful season look like to you?
Week 0 is a challenge. Week 0 at Hawaii is a double challenge, right? So, we have a lot of work to do, and to use your word, urgent work, to make sure that we're ready when that ball is put down on a tee. And I think when you play week 0 and when you're traveling a long distance, there are a lot of things that go into performance in that game that go beyond your skill sets. And so, this next month is going to be huge for us. And yet, our season isn't just that one game. We want it to be the starting point from which we learn and grow and develop each week. As far as success goes for our season, we have one objective this fall, and that's to play at our highest level as a team, and that's it. And so we talk a lot about what that's going to look like. That's not just something that we, a phrase that we throw out, but we talk about what that looks like both in performance, what it looks like in preparation. Each unit has a tangible example of how this plays out day in and day out. And we believe that if we can reach that level of performance and then replicate it, so have enough ownership over it to replicate it, that we're going to see a shift in results. And we know if we don't take total ownership of our performance and all the things that we control within that performance, then every Saturday we're playing against 2 teams, the one across the field and the one that's on our sideline. And that's not a winning formula for anyone, but certainly not for a program that's in the early stages of a build. So we're going to be focused on us, and success is going to be when we feel like we're playing true to our identity, and we're playing together and playing hard and reaching that level of performance where we feel like we've maximized our potential.
Final question, Coach, second row.
And Mike referenced about how you guys are getting out to Hawaii a little bit earlier to kind of get acclimated. Is it important, though, because I know team building activities in the spring were important to this team, to get something more out of that trip than just like your general business road trip?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to use it as a chance to be off site and to get to know each other more deeply. I mean, I think it's an amazing setting to do that, and yet we have to keep in the forefront of our mind the reason for our trip, and that's to win a football game. And so there's a balance there, but I think the game will be played. I think the experience of being in Hawaii together as a team for a week, we'll draw on those connections through the course of a season, and I think it could be a great start to actualizing that identity that we want to play with, as the year moves forward.
And then really, hey, maybe the star of media days. I'm very disappointed we didn't get to interview Mike Wright, starting quarterback for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Came out here, guns a-blazing here, just a ball of energy up here. He may have very well been the best player interview of the entire SEC media days. I mean, we get some Tennessee talk, some Hendon Hooker talk, Manning Passing Academy. He's talking about his suit here, goes in great detail here, the Atlanta native coming home for SEC media days. And based on his energy, his enthusiasm, his excitement, hey, if that rubs off on some of his teammates, again, we see why Clark Lee is very confident about what his team can do this fall, because they've got one hell of a leader here in Mike Wright on the field. So let's kick it over to the highlights of what Mike Wright had to say down here at SEC Media Days.
Okay, we have Mike Wright from Vanderbilt, and he would like to open with some remarks. It's all yours.
How's everybody doing? I'm Mike Wright, quarterback at Vanderbilt University. And just my opening remark, it doesn't have anything to do with football. It just has to do with what I'm wearing, all right? I'm a big fashion guy. So I'm wearing Miguel Wilson today, all right? #1 suit maker in the world, in the planet, all right? So if you need a custom suit, go to him. And I'm big on fashion. So the Vanderbilt's coming out, so everybody get your feet in the ground. All right, so look, we got a Hercules beetle right here, okay? A Hercules beetle, interesting fact, can carry 800 times its weight, all right? Hercules beetle. And so right now I'm here representing 110 guys on my team, representing, my entire institution, organization back home. So today I got to be a Hercules beetle. Besides that, I'm all energy, all good. I'm just excited to be here, and I'm glad. I wish I could take a picture with each and every one of you because I love taking pictures, but I don't know if we got enough time for all that. So I wish I could meet you guys, but hey, we'll figure it out.
Is this your personality, or is this kind of an NIL thing?
Oh, no. This is me, and I can't hide it either. I've been trying to contain myself all day long, but I'm a high-energy guy. I have enough energy from everybody in this room and everybody back home. So just so I am, I will wear a suit to Waffle House if I have to. I mean, this is just who I am. I think it's in me. It won't leave either.
How about just the season? What are you guys working on, especially in the off season going into the season?
Yeah, we went back and looked at film and looked on things that we can improve of, and that was a level of focus for us. And that's the focus has been in this winter, in the spring, and in the summer. How can we get better? How can we keep improving as a team and as an organization? And so we had a hard time last year. I mean, it's no secret. But I think there's a level of determination. There's a different attitude, different mentality in our organization and for our football team. So we're excited. We're ready to go.
I wanted to know, what did you learn from being at the Manning Passing Academy, and what did you do well last season?
Oh yeah. So MPA is it was an amazing opportunity for me. Every single one of the Mannings was hands-on. You're with college guys and quarterbacks from all over the country, and it was just an amazing opportunity. I know. We're in a group chat right now. All the college guys are in a group chat, and we're all going through pretty much the same thing. There hasn't been a situation that either one of us haven't, figured out yet. So that level of communication is always there. We're in a group chat every day. I was roomed with Hendon Hooker from the Orange School, so I think Peyton did that on purpose and, just to throw a little jab. But it was fun. I learned a lot, and as far as just what I learned for me, it was just just being able, just getting throws out, just throwing the ball, letting them clean up anything that they see. And it was just having fun. It was a fun and tremendous opportunity. And if any college guys have an opportunity to go out there and do it, do it. Don't hesitate, because you learn so much. You're having a great time.
Love the enthusiasm.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You gained a fan today. It clearly means a lot to be selected as one of Vanderbilt's representatives at SEC Media Days, especially in your hometown of Atlanta. How did you find out that you were going to be one of the three, and sort of what does it mean to be representing your teammates up there on that podium?
Right, that's a great question. Coach Lee called me. It was like, hey, Mike, we would be excited if you can go down there and represent your team. And so I was smiling from ear to ear. I was already smiling just because I was already smiling. I'm having a good day already. And so but when he called me and let me know, it's just a testament of the trust that not only Coach Lee has, but the team has in you, and just being able to represent everybody back home here in Atlanta, at Vanderbilt, all the alumni, the legacy that comes through before and it will come after. It's just a level of trust, and it's an appreciation. It's a blessing for me.
What is the game on Vandy's schedule that you are most anticipating this season, and why?
I mean, you always circle the rivalry game. Like my parents went to the Orange School, so they went there, and so the rivalry won't escape me, and it never will at this point. But I think for me, I hate to get a cliche answer, but it's the truth. I focus on one game at a time. I never look ahead, because once you start looking ahead, you'll miss what's in the present. And so I focus on one game at a time, and my focus right now is just getting this team ready and getting this team ready. We play week 0, so we had one of the first games in college football, and we're embracing that role, and we're excited for it.
And then, hey, we got another interview. We just couldn't squeeze it in this is the day I believe we threw out a 3-hour podcast. So I feel bad, but hey, we're getting it in while we can. We had Billy Derrick from the Door Report, does an outstanding job covering the Vanderbilt Commodores. Let's kick it over to Shane and I's conversation with Billy Derrick.
Right, so hey, we're pleased to be here with Billy Derrick, Door Report. Big comments from old Clark Lee today.
Oh,
what,
man.
What was your thoughts on that?
Sneaky good comments. That's what I want to say. He kind of lulled us there for a little bit, and then I was like, wait, what did he just say?
Yeah, there were a couple of those from Clark today. Number one, naming Mike Wright the starting quarterback. And, a lot of people knew before, he went up there and spoke that it's probably going to be Mike Wright. He's probably the guy. But he went out and said it. And, then everybody's asking Mike Wright about that. And, he's the guy if he's here. That's what we think.
Right.
But to have a head coach say that's a pretty big statement. I mean, and that's something.
What this used to be about. Now it's we got to keep everybody in the dark about everything.
I know. So that was that was the first one.
The old competition, we got the old. Hey, what is that? Before we go to the comment, I want to say, so Wright's named. What does that mean for Seals? Do you think he makes it through the season, or do you think this is something we're not going to see him hit the camp or hit the floor?
I think he makes it through the season because he didn't transfer before the season, which was crazy to me. We had thought after a roller coaster of a season for him last year that he was out of here. He got hurt. A lot of stuff going on with Ken Seals last year. So for him to be on the team still was a shocker.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be in there. He's going to fight. He's going to battle. And knowing Vanderbilt in that offense, he's going to play.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's going to get some snaps and play. So I don't think this means Ken Seals is the number 3 guy now. I mean, he's still the number 2 guy, and he's going to play. Now, of course, barring an injury, that's another thing that's out there. But he's going to play also. Let's face it, in reality of Vanderbilt's situation, he's going to have to play.
Yeah. Now, having Mike right here, does that speak to just what a leader and a captain he is for the Commodores?
Yeah, I mean, you guys saw it. I don't know if y'all heard him talk, but he's got some confidence. He's got some swagger. He's happy to be back in Atlanta in his hometown. And, a lot of it is talk. Talk is cheap. You gotta see it on the field. And I'm kind of in that mold. But it does say a little bit to fans, especially Vanderbilt fans, that he does have that confidence. And it takes a lot to – I mean, he's a great speaker, but, it takes a little bit more to go out there and actually say these things. So, he's got the confidence. He can run the ball. I mean, he's arguably the fastest player on the team, especially offensively. So, and we saw him break, I think, against Missouri, had a long 80-yard run. And, he had some other long runs, I think, against Tennessee as well. But the throwing is what matters. I mean, he went to the Manning Passing Academy. For whatever that's worth. We've seen guys go there and, improve, but we've also seen guys go there, and it's just a good experience. They kind of want to be able to tout themselves and say they went to that. But, for Mike Wright, he's been through a lot at Vanderbilt, but I think it's his time now. And he's the leader, and that's kind of the way Vanderbilt fans are looking at it now. He's the leader. He's the emotional leader. He's the leader on the field. And I think that's a good thing for Vanderbilt, to kind of start. You've got your guy, and you know who the guy is, as opposed to last year. Who's the guy? We didn't know if it was Seals. We didn't know if it was Wright. Now you've got the guy that's, I don't know if that's a step in the right direction, but, that's kind of a foundation that you start with.
And you look at Equalizer with those legs, keep the chains moving. I think it's a great move for Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a lot of games that you're going to need something.
Yeah.
You're going to need a little X factor, and I think that's what he brings to it. But let's get to it, Mike. The question, I've got to get –
I've got it saved on my phone, too. I made sure I saved it.
We know in time Vanderbilt football will be the best program in the country.
I love the confidence.
I do too. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I want to back it up. I really do. I really do. But that's who Clark is. That's who Clark Lee is. He's been at Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And he's heard Brian Kelly say those kinds of things. And he's going to get up there and say things like that. Now, of course, people are going to take it out of proportion, joke about it on Twitter like we all are. That's what SEC Media Days is for. But I'm with you, Shane, in saying that, why not? Why the hell not? I mean, yes, you're Vanderbilt, but, you got to get up there and speak with a loud voice and be confident in yourself. And, he's doing that. At the same time, will they ever win a national title? No.
Right.
That's but they're playing for that, and they're competing for that.
We talk optimistically about Vanderbilt a lot, and one of the things we talk about is the location. There's not a better spot. I'm looking. This is fun. I love Atlanta, but I'm looking for next year's game day or media days
Nashville.
because we're going to be in Nashville.
Yeah.
You know, it is a sleeping giant, and if you can get that fan base fired up, if you can get these boosters buying in, which we're starting to see it with some renovations already that Clark Lee is a part of, and I just like the build-up. You know, how far out before Vanderbilt's a competition again in the SEC?
Well, we gotta wait and see because you talked about the facilities. You know, those are probably 2, maybe 3 years away.
Right.
I mean, they're going to start construction next year, kind of like what Missouri did a couple of years ago, where they've got a construction site in one of their end zones. Vanderbilt's going to pretty much have it in both end zones. You know, before the year's over. So that'll be happening. You'll be seeing, kind of visualizing what it's going to look like in the end zones. But until that's done, you know, that's big for recruits. You know, you go to a stadium. Clark Lee is sending these guys, and you know, half the stadium is full with red or blue or the other color. And so Vanderbilt's got to get to a point first to where they can at least take their crowd back, take their stadium back.
Right.
That's the first thing. Number 2, you've got to see those, I think, renovations. You know, obviously winning is more important, but you've also got to have those renovations. I mean, we've seen it with Arkansas. We saw it with Missouri, to where that makes a difference. You know, that really does make a difference, not only for the fans, for the players, you know, for road teams that come in. They want to play in a nice stadium. And so, you know, that's really important. But in terms of a timeline, it's just tough. It's tough right now. I think realistically, Clark Lee, a good barometer right now is 3 years. You know, 3 years from now, they should be where, you know, they want to be as a program.
Right.
You know, they should be making a bowl game. They should be getting 4 stars. They should dominate the mid-state of Tennessee, and that's what they've started to kind of do. I mean, they got a top 40 recruiting class after a season like that. So that to me says that it's there. It's in this program for it to happen. But you've got to see some of that other stuff. You got to see the facilities, and so. But of course, winning is the most important thing.
Yeah, and I've had former Vanderbilt lineman Bruno Reagan on the show.
Oh yeah,
and he's said it's a marvel that they had that recruiting class because the environment is similar to a morgue down there in Vanderbilt. Like, how in the heck are they recruiting these players to campus right now? But they're selling them on the future. They're selling them on the vision. Let me ask you this, because this is something that he and I go back with all the time. We hit on Nashville, how exciting it is. Why do they not utilize that more, or how can they, you know, whether it's like a pregame concert series or just anything to make Vanderbilt, we already know, is unique in the SEC. They need to use that as a strength instead of saying, well, we don't got what Alabama's got. We don't got what Tennessee's got. You do have Nashville, and there's ways to utilize that for the fan experience, for the game day experience, and I'm just not seeing that commitment.
No, and, you know, we were talking about it yesterday, our show in Nashville, and, you know, why not a post-game fireworks show? You know, or it's something like that. You know, anything. A pregame concert with, you know, any country music singer that lives in Nashville. I mean, incorporate the city with your team because you're in that city. You guys have been there. It's a 5-10-minute drive from Broadway. You know, and so I think that's what Vandy fans want to see. When Franklin was here, Nashville wasn't what it is now. So it is tougher for Clark Lee because you go to Nashville, you know, you want to go to a concert. You could go to a Preds game, Titans game, all kinds of different things. Vanderbilt football is not an attraction right now. And, of course, it's hard for Clark Lee, but they've got to get there, whatever it takes. You know, obviously, number one thing is winning, but the small things you just talked about, Mike, I think will help. I mean, bring those younger fans. There's so many young people in Nashville, too, that want to just have a good time and see something cool, you know? And so I'm with you. I think fireworks show, concert, whatever. Of course, we talk about it all the time on our podcast. My buddy Will Byram always says number one thing is winning. You just got to win. Forget about all that stuff. But for me, you're at Vanderbilt. You've got to think differently. Yes, it's about winning, but you're different than everybody else, so you've got to do things differently. Because you can't think like Alabama. You can't think like Tennessee. You've got to think outside the box, and I think that's what Clark Lee's doing.
How big is that season opener looming over the season, Hawaii, after last season's terrible start? You know, they've got to avoid those mistakes in the opener in a tricky spot. I mean, it should be a good fun going out there, but they got to focus on football out there.
Yeah, they really do. And Clark Lee talked about that. He said there's a lot to this trip. You know, it's week 0. It's basically, you know, the Hall of Fame game in the NFL. That's what you're gonna have a lot of eyes on. I mean, 9:30 in Hawaii. Hawaii's not a very good team. But I think some passionate college football fans are gonna be watching that game, and just because it's whatever's on. It's 9:30 kick.
We'd love to go to that game.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got to break the bank for that one. But no, I'm with you, Mike. I just think I asked a lot of the players about it. You know, are y'all playing with a chip on your shoulder after what happened against ETSU last year? And an in-state FBS team knocks you off, not just beats you, but they beat the brakes off you. I mean, they come into your house and dominate you. So does that put a chip on your shoulder? Of course, they all said, no, not really. We're going in with the same mindset as we do every year. But I got to believe that they want to make a statement in that first game, no matter who they're playing. If they were playing Georgia Tech, if they were playing Elon, no matter who they're playing, they got to make a statement because you got to show the growth as a program that you've been able to make. And so it's a huge game, and it's going to be a challenge. I mean, for this program, it's going to be that type of a challenge to where they've got to take advantage of whatever Hawaii brings to them.
Oh, final thing real quick. Sorry, losing concentration over here, getting the clip over here. But is this year we see Vanderbilt defense start to look like that Vanderbilt Clark Lee defense that we want to see?
I think so, and we saw some flashes of it last year, you know, down the stretch against South Carolina, Tennessee, and some of the later games of that stretch where Clark Lee, you can see his imprint on this defense. I mean, he had a couple linebackers. Ethan Barr, I think he was a walk-on, you know, not real big, not real strong. You know, he turned him into a pretty good linebacker. And then Anthony Orji, a guy that's here too, is very talented. I mean, he I think is a guy that could be drafted next year. And so developing those guys and seeing that imprint that Clark Lee has put on this defense is pretty impressive. And I think he squeezed just as much as he could out of that team last year. I mean, you know, and so he's got to try to do the same thing again this year. And it'll be interesting. I think the defense, of course, is going to be the strength. But Kane Patterson, a guy out of Clemson, a local kid, his brother Langston is actually at Vanderbilt too. So, you know, it's going to be interesting to see does that take another big step? Or is it, you know, we'll get a good sense of the timeline in Clark Lee and that Vanderbilt team.
Can you tell the audience before you go how to find your work and give you a follow on social media?
Sure, appreciate it. The Door Report, Door_report on Twitter. We're also on Instagram. Got to work on Instagram and TikTok, Shane. That's pretty tough for us. But we also got YouTube. We're putting every podcast up just like you guys. And we'll have all of our SEC Media Days content up today as well. But I appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
You guys are looking good here at SEC Media Days.
Have a good one.
Appreciate it.
So just want to say thanks again, Billy, for joining the show. We were on his show as well, so if you missed that, live on Radio Row, go check that out. He does a great job again for the Door Report, founded the Door Report there. So great stuff from Billy. But last but not least, Mississippi State. And again, we kind of covered everything. We got nearly everything Mike Leach had to say first go around because how could you not? The man's a freaking quote machine. But we did touch, Shane and I, on some of the things that Coach Leach had to say on the Paul Feinbaum show. And, he's asking, I think, the right questions. Is the sport headed in the right direction? He's not definitive one way or another, but he asked some important questions. So let's kick it over to Mike Leach. I thought this was, a pretty insightful answer here to that question.
With everything that's going on surrounding college athletics, college football, do you feel like things are trending to a better place or a worse place, generally speaking, for the sport?
Too early to tell. Because right now what we have is unsustainable. There will be changes. We're probably in the biggest transition period that we've been in since I've been coaching. They're changing everything. We've got realignment going on. We got playoff talk going on. We've got, unmitigated free agency and bidding wars. Exactly what the basketball guys and everybody else said not to get into. Well, we're in the middle of bidding wars. We coach the athletes that have more privileges than any other professional sport, probably in the history of the world. And then, but something will change. I don't know what it'll be. Being a professional is not all privilege and no responsibility. And I do think getting, if everybody got on the same page, they could find a relatively easy solution. The most difficult thing is getting everybody on the same page, I think.
And then last but not least here, receiver Austin Williams, 6-year senior, I believe. One of the most sure-handed guys in the conference. He's a security blanket of sorts for Will Rogers on 3rd down, on 4th down, key situations. Will Rogers is looking to go to Austin Williams. And, man, we just cannot overstate how much this Mississippi State team is being overlooked. And, hell, they're overlooked every preseason. But this year could be on another level, not seen since going back to 2014, of course, when they went to number 1 in the nation. No one was talking about them then either. So Mississippi State returning more production than anybody in the SEC. They've got an elite offensive mind. They've got a hell of a defensive mind in Zach Arnett, who's worked wonders with the players he's had to work with. They've added via the transfer portal to shore up that defensive secondary. They've got good linemen, good linebackers. Could have a very, very good defense this fall in Starkville. And if they do, Mississippi State is coming into a special season. And that's something Austin Williams kind of hints at here during his media availability at Media Days.
Right. Maybe what's happened this offseason, or what gives you confidence you guys have improved and you'll have a better 2022 season?
I really like who we got in the locker room, honestly. I like the guys we got. I feel like everybody's on the same page, kind of banding together. There's not a lot of guys taken away from our goal, or if any. I feel like everybody's on the same mission, same path. That's important. Everybody's going to be pulling in the same direction, right? We don't got a lot of guys pulling apart. And I think that's been really well. I just liked what we've done this offseason. I think we're really working hard, competing.
All right, so, hey, that's going to do it for this episode of the show. Again, it's just been a slow time. I think everybody takes a week off here after Media Days. I'm taking off myself. I'm going to try to see if we can squeeze out one more pod before I hit the road to Kentucky. Hopefully I make it back alive after my Feinbaum comments went pretty viral. But hopefully we'll get Cousin Shane back on the show. And from what I understand, hey, I don't want to make any promises, but from what I understand, Cousin Shane is finally hooking up that video equipment. So we may be seeing more of the Tennessee Homer as we inch closer to the upcoming SEC season. But I cannot thank everyone enough for tuning in during the offseason. I know it's tough. College football right around the corner. We've got fall camp starting all across the SEC next week even. Friday, Vanderbilt starts off training camp, the first training camp to kick off in the SEC Friday. So cannot wait. SEC football just over a month away. But that's going to do it for this episode of the show. We'll catch you on the next one.